What is up, everybody? In today's video, we are going to be pulling the rear subframe on our E30 so that we can get it ready for a Z3 diff. All that in today's episode. My name is Ryan. This is Project Race Car. Let's get into it. So as we have been talking, we are going to be turboing the K-Series that is in here, and the rear diff is going to be the weakest link on the drivetrain. And so since it is a 410 and a small case for the E30, we need to upgrade it to a Z3 torsion style diff. This bad girl should be able to handle up to 400 foot-pounds of torque, which is perfect because that is what the K-Series maxes out at. I think currently in the car we have a 410 LSD, and this one is a 326, so it's very long gears. The thing is that with the small case and the higher gear set, they can't handle that much torque, so we need to switch out the 410s for the Torsen Z3 diff. From my understanding, we might need to either change the axles or change just this output flange and see what we can do, but this is a Torsen diff and it has the same bolting pattern as the E30, so it should just be a straight bolt-in, and then we'll kind of figure out if we need to change the output flanges or if we need to change the axles and whatnot. So first things first, let's get the E30 jacked up. Before jacking up the car, I would go ahead and remove these axle nuts because you'll need to pull them off for the axles to come out. And so I went ahead and loosened these guys already. I applied a butt ton of heat and then got a big breaker bar. I don't know what these things are torqued to, but they're very, very heavy. So while the car is still on the ground, I would highly recommend pulling off the axle nuts. You might be asking why I am jacking up the front, especially if we're going to be working on the rear, but I want the car to be as high as possible. Perfect. Awesome, now the rears are raised, and you want to make sure you'll be removing this bracket, so you want to make sure that the jacks are on this side. As an extra precaution, I'm going to put this underneath the car somewhere solid to where if these jack stands fail, at least we'll have this as a backup. You should always do that when working on a car. I'm gonna first start by taking off the exhaust, that way we can have access to the entire subframe. About 2 weeks ago from Garagistics, I ordered all the rear subframe bushings as well as the subframe reinforcement plates that we're going to weld in, and so we will be able to get all of this done while we are replacing the subframe. So it'll be a win-win, replace the diff and get all new bushings in the subframe. Another big win, I will be replacing all of the brake lines while I'm underneath here to corded stainless steel brake lines. That way we have all new brake lines and we won't have to worry about that either. Okay, with the exhaust disconnected, we will have access to dropping all of the rear subframe and working on this thing. I'm gonna take this time now to remove the wheels and get access to all of the brake stuff. Oh God. And so it begins. This 410 has seen some stuff. It should have 280,000 miles on it because that's what the chassis has. So unless this thing was replaced, this has a lot of miles, and you can see just how rough it looks. But we are gonna pull out the axles now, and it is just an 8mm hex bolt, and we are gonna just pop out all of these. With axle bolts, you want to make sure that the hex is actually seated fully before you start torquing, otherwise it is very easy to strip. Cool. And you do not want to strip a hex bolt. Pain. Now with the axle nut out and all of the axle disconnected of the diff, we can just pull this bad boy out. Look at that. The thing that I did notice is that these axle bolts are actually longer than the other side. So I think one of the axles was replaced and they put the shorter bolts in, which is odd. So that's a little bit weird that both of them are different. So after mounting up the E30 axles, it looks like the diameter of these of this shaft is actually good. So the only thing that will really matter is this actual length to see if it'll fit. So we'll pull out the old diff and see if the width is the same. If not, we might have to get different axles. Now let's go ahead and get that other axle out, and then we will call it a day. Now that the axles are out, we are going to now drop the diff. Okay, super simple. We already got all of the 19 millimeters loosened up at the top. We got all of the bolts off of the drive shaft. So now I got the jack underneath there, and now we are gonna loosen all 4 of those bolts and then pull off this last 19 millimeter up here, and then the diff will be able to drop. Bye-bye. Come on. Come on. There we go. Okay. Perfect. So here is the Z3 diff, and here is the diff that just came out. And you can see how much bigger the medium case is versus the small case. But what's interesting is if you measure from axle to axle, looks like it's about 11.5 inches. And if you measure from axle to axle, it's about 11.5 inches. So this one should work with my stock axles and just be able to fully bolt in, which is really, really nice. You can see the mounting points are the exact same. So I'm gonna go ahead and set both of these diffs aside. I will be able to sell the 410 diff, so that'll recoup some of the money from just buying the Z3 diff. I also thought about resealing the Z3 diff and just making sure that everything in there looks good before we actually go over and install it and go through all the work. But we will continue to pull out this subframe. Now that the 2 brake lines are disconnected from the chassis, we are going to go ahead and move on to the strut tower and pull that off with the 19 millimeter and then the 13 millimeters in the trunk. Now inside the car, we are going to remove the 2 e-brake cables, and they are just held on by 2 10 millimeters. And then we will be able to disconnect these and keep them on the subframe. That way we don't have to pull off our brakes. If you guys are doing this job and need to do your brakes, then it's a good thing to do, but these are almost brand new. So once we disconnect that, then everything will be disconnected, and we will be able to pull out these Allens and then the big bolts holding on the subframe, and then we will be good to go. Okay, so you have to take off the e-brake handle, and it's just 3 13 millimeters, so one here, and one on the other side. And now these are both completely loose, and we'll be able to pull them out of the bottom, hopefully really easy. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah. Okay, I need to go see what that's stuck on. Awesome, they are both in this like half stuck position, but they came out really easy. The last thing that we have to pull off is this little sensor, as well as we are gonna use a 6 millimeter hex bolt or hex to get these 2 brackets off on the side. And then we will be able to, I think it's like a 23 millimeter or something, and zap these off. After that, we will be able to drop the subframe and call this a done day. Easy peasy. Okay, now let's see if we can drop this subframe. Oh, everything is disconnected. Okay. It definitely needs to be persuaded down. Well, I have currently been at kind of a standstill trying to fight with this rear subframe, and it has been quite obnoxious. And so what I did was I have been trying to just pry at it, trying to add heat, but I don't want to add too much heat because it is near the gas tank and I do have a full gas tank. So I don't want to heat up any lines or cause any issues with that. I was able to pull one of the rear trailing arms to try to get a better angle at the subframe, but I think I'm going to just go back to the drawing board, pull the other trailing arm, and then give it one more day. Okay, so apparently the rear subframe bushings are tend to get welded on. And by welded on, I mean by nature welded on. So these two bushings are stuck on the E30. So I'm currently drilling them out. And currently I'm just drilling these things out, drilling out all the rubber. And so you can see I'm making. So unfortunately, my camera died in the process. So I just decided to go to town with the drill on the rubber bushings. And we got the subframe out. One of them looks like this, and it still has the outer bushing in there, so we are gonna have to press this one out. And then this side still had the bushing in, and it actually broke. We'll check out the other side. So this part is actually still welded onto the car. Yeah, so it was just a pain to get this thing off, but it is out. So we will get these two bushings out. And then when the Garagistics bushings come in and the reinforcement plates, we will be able to weld those on, spray paint this thing, and really clean this thing up. I also got trailing arm bushings because these things are looking rough, so we are gonna clean up the trailing arm as well, and just kind of give it a nice spray down and a refresh so that it is good to go. Not too worried about like reinforcing the trailing arms because I'm not going to be putting that much power to the car, so hopefully they'll hold up. If not, we'll just burn that bridge when we come to it. I actually got the subframe removed, and you can see just how much of a mess I made trying to get this both of these bushings out, and unfortunately I couldn't even get this one completely out. So I'll keep working on this off camera and try to get these things off. The other side kind of broke off, but we got the rear subframe removed. I'm gonna treat a couple things like the brake lines back here, and we will kind of clean everything up and try to, you know, get this thing ready to accept the reinforced subframe. In the meantime, I'm going to clean up this mess. I mean, everything's just in complete disarray. But I'm super excited to get this thing cleaned up, get it all refreshed, and then be able to throw in the new diff and kind of work through everything. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. But until next time, my name is Ryan. This is Project Race Car. Have an amazing day. Peace.